Hickok 45 here. The firearm you're looking at is a Detective Special, and that is something that if you were a gangster back in the 1930s, you might have been carrying something like that, because the Detective Special has been around a long time. You've probably seen it in movies. You might have seen it on a detective's belt, huh? What do you think? Yeah, the Detective Special, interesting firearm, a lot of history, been around a long time. And I guess really didn't start competing with the Smith & Wesson J-frame until around the 50s and the 60s and 70s and 80s in that sense. And it did compete pretty well because it was a 6-shot revolver. It was a little snubby 6-shot. And I say did because it does no longer compete because it's not being manufactured. You know about all the problems maybe Colt had back in, was it, the 90s? They quit making almost everything that we wanted. Well, the Detective Special fell victim to that too, of course, as well as many other cool revolvers that Colt made. Well, this thing's been made since I think 1927. And the first series or issue or generation, whatever terminology you want to make, up through I think 46 after World War II. So that was made during that time, and then there was a second series from around 1947 up until 72, I think. And this falls into that one, this particular gun does. Now, this is not from any of the people that, Buds or anybody that's, this is from a viewer who came to the meet and greet here a week or so ago. And he brought it and wanted to know if we wanted to use it. He had contacted me earlier about this, I had recalled. And so he lent it to us, and we appreciate that. Even though it's a 32 caliber, because, you know, obviously I would kind of like a 38 Special. I used to have a 38 Special, Detective Special, and it's one of those that I'm sorry got away. A friend of mine talked me out of it, and I think he still has it. I need to work on him, get that back sometime. But it was, I think, a third generation, a third series issue, whatever they call it, that was made, from 73 up into the 80s or somewhere along in there, because it had the Shrouded Ejector Rod. It was a little nicer than this. It was kind of that deluxe version made in the third generation of these things, and really nice gun. This one's cool, though, because of the age. It's made in 72. I looked up the serial number, and you don't have the ejector rod shroud or any of that, so it looks a lot like those made way back in the 30s, 20s. And I never did have a Colt Police Positive, but this is kind of a smaller version of that. They came out with this in 27, and the Police Positive was very popular, you know, among police. And again, it was called Detective Special because I guess part of its marketing, they wanted detectives to use it and carry it. Let's shoot a couple of rounds here, but this is back in the day when there weren't many people who had carry permits. So little guns like this, always remember that when you see a little gun that was made in the 70s or the 30s or whenever. Well, back in the Wild West days, it's a little different because almost everybody had firearms, but if they wanted to. But in the 20th century, a little gun like this that was made as a concealment firearm, not many people could legally conceal one, at least on their person. You know, you could have it, you know, but as far as carrying it and having a little holster for it and everything, you were mostly talking about detectives, you know, police people, backup for a uniformed officer or for a detective, you know, that kind of thing. All right, so 32. Now, I'm not an expert on 32. This is the first gun I've ever owned. Well, I don't own it, but I've ever fired in 32. I guess maybe somewhere back along the way. And as you saw on the barrel, this is 32 Colt NP. Now, NP stands for no problem. No, it actually stands for new police. And in this second series, where this one falls from like 47 to 72, they made this in 38 Special, 32 Colt New Police, 38 Colt New Police, different calibers. And my research told me that as I was looking for ammo, that the 38 Colt New Police would fire 38 Smith & Wesson long, all right? 32 Smith & Wesson long, not 38. You have to hammer those rounds in. So I've shot it, and it's kind of interesting because it's, first of all, it's a Colt. It's a quality revolver. It feels good, and that little 32 is very pleasant to shoot. It probably will even take out a pot. Now, we cannot expect it to smoke it like a 357 Magnum does. Got a little smoke there. See how it smokes a 2-liter. Try that red one. That's not too bad. See if it'll smoke a cowboy down there. Yeah. Bad. Did he fire 5 or did he fire 6? Well, now he's fired 6. Yeah. So 6 rounds. That's the big difference. I don't guess I'm going to load 32 or anybody I know, but 6 rounds is big. And the interesting thing about it is even this specific firearm, the ones that are chambered for 38 Special, they hold 6 rounds. And they're a little bit bigger than a J-frame Smith & Wesson, but not much at all. They're smaller than a K-frame Smith, but they're a little bit bigger than a J-frame, so they kind of fall between there, I think. I remember liking that little Detective Special I had. I still prefer Smiths, the way the cylinder latches and everything, but these Colts are they're cool too because they're well made. There's so much history, quality, no doubt about it. And this one's worn. You saw the end of the barrel and everything, the bluing off. That just adds to the appeal. It's just a classy gun. The grip is interesting. I like the way it's rounded. It feels pretty good in the hand. Just that grip right there. Normally I like a little bit bigger grip, a little beefier than what these old revolvers have. But that doesn't feel bad. And when you cock it, it just feels like quality, Colt or Smith & Wesson quality. So that's pretty cool. So Detective Special, very, very, very popular. You can see why it's so small, and that little holster and detective plain clothes officers, basically would carry something at least quite often. Whether maybe I think even the FBI and some of those federal agencies carried Detective Specials at times. There's not a lot of difference, really, you think about it, between the Detective Special, especially the 3rd or 4th generation. We had the Shrouded Ejector Rod, maybe a 3-inch barrel, 6 rounds, 38. I think you could fire 38 plus P in those. So not a lot of difference between that and then the Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum, the little Model 65, the blue 3-inch gun that the FBI actually carried, except that you could carry hotter Magnums in it. I believe most of them carry 38 Special plus P. So not a lot of difference there. But this is a kind of a smaller version in a way, and that little bitty barrel and 32. And just came upon this gun, and we want to get it back to this fellow. So I don't know if Federal even has 32 that loads this cartridge. We rounded up some ammo real quick though, so we could do a video with it. And let's shoot some of this lead stuff. Let's talk about a classic bullet. What's that? Yeah, the lead round nose. Man. And most of you are thinking, what an anemic little nothing round. Well, maybe. Wouldn't want to be hit by one. It's a gun. And again, the cool thing is it holds, 6. Those are nifty little cartridges. I don't know what it is about it. Just something kind of cool. I think because it just harkens back to the 1930s or something, the 1920s, 1940s. This was a revolver. Keep in mind, this was a gun back then. When most people thought about a firearm, small or a pistol, handgun, these were the kinds of guns that you see the old movies, not even though the 1911s were around and the high power, all those guns. Yeah, not a lot of people carried those. Okay, for one thing, not many people carried a gun. Bad guys and police. And most police departments did not carry a 1911. They carried revolvers. So this harkens back to the heyday of the revolver. Let's go double action and see if we can sneak one onto that 2-liter. Oh, I didn't. There we did. How about this guy? Woo! Well, just take off there, guy. Man, how about the coffin? Well, I guess we have a round left there. Oh, we got a couple. Let's, there's a Colt, turns clockwise. We got 2 rounds left. I wonder if I'd hear it if I hit the gong. I'll loosen up with my ears a little bit. I want to hear it. I want to hear it hit the dirt. Well, I'm not sure where to hold, but we'll try about the middle of it. I saw dust, but I thought I heard metal. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, we'll try a couple more on that. Pretty neat gun. No recoil, of course. 32. If you're looking for a firearm with no recoil. But again, I don't think ammo availability is what you'd probably like. You're not going to find this stuff in a bulk pack anywhere, I don't believe. 32 Smith & Wesson long. Good luck with that. Let's try the gong. We've got to hit the gong with this classic. Again, I hope I can hear it. There we go. I'm going to hold up a little more. Okay, I'm going to hold down a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure where it's going. Maybe it's hitting, I just can't hear it. But I think those are blanks, don't you think? We'll try a couple more. It's the only problem with a light bullet that's not moving very fast. It's hard to hear even when you do hit it. And then I'll take a couple more because if I was going low, I'd have seen those. I'm gonna hold down a little bit. I'm gonna be stubborn here. Okay, I saw that one. Maybe just right a little bit. I heard that. Okay, had to get one on there. Oh, we have a 2-liter left. Let's go double action. Oh well, good try. I tell you one thing about the trigger. The double action is not horrible, but it stacks. Is what they call it. When the further you go, the little tighter it gets. That's one thing you do get from a Colt, I've noticed. But I won't blame it on that. We're going to hit him double action. Okay. I know you're in a hurry to get to dinner. 32 Smith & Wesson long. Well, don't look for those at Walmart. Woo. Well, they might be there actually. I say that. I mean, this is the kind of gun that it would get the job done. You know, if this is all you have. There's probably some. Well, I have some flat nose. Now, how's that for a flat nose round? We got to try those. Okay, those are, I don't know, S&B or something. Little wad cutter babies. They would definitely. Those are mainly for target shooting. They cut such a neat little hole, just like a paper punch. But I know back in the day, back in the revolver days, there would be guys who would load those up and carry those in a 38, 44 for defense. Back before there were a lot of hollow point options, and because that's definitely got a big mouth on it, doesn't it? Oh boy, make a nice round hole. Now, this is just 32 caliber, but. Okay, beats 30, beats a 25, beats a 22. This ought to be a real soft shooting round, I would think. There we go. Cowboy. There's another cowboy. It's not been shot. There we go. I tend to shoot it right. Yeah. If I'm not careful, I notice I tend to veer right. I think it's mostly me, or the way the light's hitting the sight, because I think it's on pretty much. The owner or somebody has painted the sight a little bit. Needs a new paint job on it. But yeah, it's the kind of thing you can do in a gun like this. You don't worry about it too much. So Colt, from back when revolvers reigned, the Detective Special. A lot of people just swore by these over Smith. They wanted part of a Smith & Wesson. In fact, I've told you before, that was the big argument back in the 60s, 70s. People were talking about guns around a gun shop. Most of the conversation was around revolvers, and the argument was Colt or Smith & Wesson, And boy, there are some people just, back then, if there'd been an internet back then, that people have been calling you a Colt fanboy or a Smith & Wesson fanboy, but everybody almost was a revolver fanboy. And this was one of the top dogs right here. The Detective Special, 6 shots, not very big, just big enough, as big as it needed to be to handle 6 of those 38 Special cartridges. And we kind of laugh at the 38 Special. Well, we don't laugh. Some people do, unnecessarily and mistakenly. But in the 20s and 30s, 40s, 38 Special was considered a hot little round. It really was. If you had something in a 38 Special, you were considered to be well armed. Right? So I know, just putting it in perspective. And that's what these things were chambered for, as well as some other cartridges. So pretty interesting. My first experience with a 32 in a revolver like this, and it ought to handle it. You see all the meat in that cylinder left over after you chamber those things. Pretty cool little cartridge and gun combination, particularly if the 32 were more available. My guess is it's not too available. I had to look around to get ammo here. But I like the gun. It has so much character, and I appreciate the viewer lending this to us. Colt Detective Special. This one is 32 Colt New Police, made in 1972. Pretty cool. Life is good.
Hi, I'm Zeke with the Sonoran Desert Institute, and here at SDI we're extremely proud to be sponsors of the Hickok 45 channel. You may be asking yourself, what is SDI? SDI is an affordable, fully accredited distance learning education program. We have an emphasis in gunsmithing and firearms technology. If you decide to become a gunsmith, you'll need to learn proper gunsmithing techniques, and while some people will use an apprenticeship program to gain these techniques, a formal education will ensure an organized, more comprehensive learning environment. But when you choose a gunsmithing school, it's still kind of difficult. So it's very important that you choose a gunsmithing school that meet the following criteria. First, look for a nationally or regionally accredited program. And whether distance learning online or through a brick and mortar ground program, a gunsmithing program should always have a hands-on element. And finally, make sure you look for a school with high student satisfaction. Find reviews online, check out its Facebook or other social media, or get on the same social media sites, find some alumni, and ask to speak with them about their experience. And while we're not at SDI today, I do have some of the firearms I've learned to work on and build myself through the SDI program. So let's go take a look at them. Okay, maybe not. We'll just get seriously. Can I not get a chair that fits me? I'm a big guy, dude. So I guess back to what we were originally talking about. Above all else, find the school that's right for you. It's not always going to be the distance education programs or the brick and mortar ground schools that are for everybody. Just make sure you do your research on multiple options before you make that decision. But if you want more information on our gunsmithing school, just go to www.sdi.edu or call us at 1-800-336-8939.